Welcome back to my end of the swamp. Today, I'm going to talk about something that's a movie that's really close to my heart for a lot of reasons. Look to the background. This is Wes Craven's 1982 underappreciated sci-fi movie called Swamp Thing, based on the DC comics, DC and Vertigo, of the same name. Originally created by Lin Wen and Bernie Wrightson. May they both rest in peace. I said this is a movie close to my heart for two very good reasons. One, this was my introduction to Wes Craven and his amazing filmmaking and style, and his subversion of what you think you're going to get with things. But also, this film, and I just learned this recently, which makes it closer to my heart, was filmed in South Carolina, in the swamps of South Carolina, which is where I'm from originally. So that's really fucking cool to me. A lot of people seem to, if you are familiar with Swamp Thing at all, the character from the DC Comics, you are more likely familiar with Alan Moore's run on it. It was kind of a reboot on it, same way that Neil Gaiman did with Sandman. Although fuck Neil Gaiman. But like I said, it was started off as not a horror comic run. That's what Alan Moore did with it. He made a Southern Gothic horror comic, and for his entire run, he explored so many things: creatures of the night, vampires, werewolves, and just with more depth to the character. There was more to it. It was more subversive, because that's Alan Moore. That's what he does. But when Lynn and Bernie created the creature, it was a sci-fi monster horror novel, or comic book, not horror novel, but comic book. It was a sci-fi horror comic book, based really along the same kind of creature features that, from the 50s and 60s, between the Universal monsters of the 30s and then the resurgence, the Hammer monsters of the 60s and 70s. You have these weird sci-fi movies like the Venom and the original Blob movie, things like that. That was what this book, Swamp Thing, the comic book, was based around. This sci-fi creature feature, and Wes Craven took that and made a sci-fi creature feature movie that was amazing, and just, such a stacked cast. Looking back at it, the one thing I didn't realize until I was looking at information for this was two things really. One, Dr. Alec, Holland, the man who becomes Swamp Thing, he was played by Ray Wise. I didn't know that. Ray gets his balls in a vice grip by RoboCop Wise. He was the Alec Holland, the first person to be Alec Holland, and that was pretty damn cool to me. Swamp Thing himself is played by Dick Durock, and he would come back to reprise the role not one more time, but two more times, because they made a direct sequel called Return of the Swamp Thing. That's kind of a direct-to-TV movie. But also, there was a short-lived Swamp Thing TV series that I caught reruns of on early Sci-Fi Channel, that he played the character as well, which was cool. Like before the DC Direct streaming service made their one short season of Swamp Thing, which was more gothic body horror, which was really cool. I hate that show never got renewed. They did this based on like this kind of monster sci-fi of the week thing, but the story is kind of simple. If you've never seen it, it is Dr. Alec Holland creates this kind of scientific formula. They want to steal it. The villain sends in people to steal it. Holland gets caught in an accident. He bonds with the chemical. It turns into the Swamp Thing. Again, sci-fi creature feature. There are some things that vary, and I don't want to say what those things are because I don't want to spoil it for anybody. But also, it's Wes Craven. If you like any of his movies, I urge you to see this one. This one is just really, really fun really cool. And something I also learned when doing my research for this is that there was a European version of this shot where Adrienne Barbeau, who plays the love interest in the movie, and basically the the woman to be rescued, which is this is the 80s, that happened a lot. She filmed a nude scene for the European version, and I feel like I got gypped by not being able to see that. Like, that just irks me. But like, I didn't realize that. I watched this as a kid. I didn't fucking know it back then. I know it now, and I feel gypped. But in a lot of ways, this is not a direct adaptation of the comic, but it's the same themes as the original comic. Not the Southern Gothic horror that Moore did that made Swamp Thing famous. This took it back to the heart of the original creation, and I enjoy that. And as another side, kind of off-topic recommendation here, Lin Wynn, the creator of the writer from the original comics, he has a small cameo appearance in a found footage movie called Savage Land. If you have a chance to check Savage Land out as well, I would highly recommend that. It was really, did not know what I was expecting with that one. It was really damn good. Not going to give anything away. But also, again, if you are a sci-fi fan, if you're a horror fan of any kind, if you are a Wes Craven fan of any kind, I urge you really and truly, check out Swamp Thing. It is underrated and underacknowledged. And that's going to do it for me for today. Be good to each other and stay punk rock.